I decided to combine two of my favorite things, motherhood and science. Welcome to Momology. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Momology. Today we'll be talking about screen time. Screen time has increased dramatically over the past decade, and a large portion of our youth actually spend up to 6 to 8 hours in front of a screen on a daily basis. A study from the US recently showed that up to 44% of children start using a mobile device even before the age of 1, and at 4 years of age, most children have their own tablet. So what are the effects of screen time on children and adolescents? So first we'll look at mental health. High screen time has been associated with a more negative body image, and that's in both males and females, while females seem to be more affected. And this is thought to be due to unfavorable social comparison, poor sleep, and of course cyberbullying. Playing a lot of video games is associated with more severe anxiety and depression. And excessive video game playing can also increase aggression, hyperactivity, and you can also get problems interacting with your peers. And these symptoms are also described for general screen time if you spend more than 6 hours per day in front of a screen. Many adolescents also report spending too much time online, and in a recent survey from 2016, about 50% of adolescents said that they felt addicted to their phones. There's also an issue with media multitasking, so you want to check your social media while you're doing your homework. Well, this has been linked to lower English and math scores, worse working memory, and a harder time to keep your attention, and also a greater impulsivity. So more about younger children. Let's go through development. Well, a lot of studies have shown that while TV can capture a baby's attention, they actually don't learn anything while watching the screen and don't seem to absorb any of its content. At around 6 to 14 months, they can be able to imitate specific actions that they've seen on screen. And at 18 months, they can remember brief sequences. But to go as far as understanding doesn't seem to happen until they reach about 2 years of age. While there are a few studies on how children learn from screen time, there is solid evidence that infants and toddlers have difficulty transferring new information from the screen into real life. There is, however, some evidence that having an active parent can help children retain information that they've learned from a screen, and this is after 2 years. And there is also some early evidence that Learn to Read apps and ebooks can promote early literacy. So there can be some positive aspects to screen time, if done correctly. On the contrary though, heavy early exposure to screen time has been linked to a significant delay in language. And some studies have even found an association between excessive screen time and worse short-term memory. So let's move on to physical health. Opposite to what you might think, screen use has actually not been directly linked to a reduction in physical activity. However, it has been shown that adolescents who are already more inactive usually tend to spend more time in front of screens. And screen time also impacts health more than overall sedentary time. So you can put it into contrast to reading a book, for example. There is, however, a clearer connection between eating and snacking and gaining weight with excessive screen time. And a lot of time in front of the TV is also associated with a reduction in fruit and vegetable intake. While it tends to increase the intake of energy-dense drinks, snacks, and fast food. Next, we'll discuss how screen time affects sleep. Children who tend to spend a lot of time in front of a TV, a tablet, or a phone tend to go to sleep later in the evening and sleep a shorter amount of time. Just like in many adults, it's hypothesized that the light from the screen can dysregulate your circadian rhythm. Using media before bedtime may just increase arousal. Maybe they're playing a game and they're excited, or it can just delay bedtime. Lately, there's also been a lot of talk about screen time affecting your eyes, for instance, making you more short-sighted. There is, however, currently no consistent data on this, so we'll just have to see what the future holds. So now you know what can happen if your child spends too much time in front of the TV, playing video games, or on their phone. So how much is too much? What are the current recommendations for screen time? And the current recommendations actually completely discourage screen time for children under 2 years old. And they suggest that 2 to 4-year-olds should spend no more than 1 hour in front of a screen daily. For children and adolescents from 5 to 17 years old, the number is 2 hours per day. To promote healthy screen time, you as a parent can remember the 4 M's. Manage, meaningful, model, and monitor. So first of all, manage. Check your child's media use and set limits. Make sure to be present, engage with your children, and talk about the content. Remember that this can increase what they learn when they're watching media. Make sure to discourage media multitasking, especially during homework. Make sure that they put their phones and all other distractions aside. Also make sure to learn about parental controls and privacy settings to keep your kids safe. Moving on to meaningful. So try to promote educational, active, or social screen time. It's an extra plus if your kids can learn something while in front of the screen. But make sure to keep your priorities straight. Prioritize sleep, physical activity, and face-to-face contact with your children instead of screen use. The third M is model. You are their role model, so look at your own screen time habits. Also try to prioritize screen-free time with your family. So for example, during dinner, make sure there are no distractions, just quality time with your family. Screen time can even impact your sleep as an adult, so try to avoid screen time up to an hour before bedtime. It's also good to discourage recreational screen time, for example in bedrooms, even for you as a parent. Lastly, we have monitor. Try to keep a lookout for negative effects of screen time in your children. This can, for example, be that they complain a lot about being bored or unhappy when they're not able to sit in front of a screen. Also make sure that screens aren't interfering with school or sleep or having social interactions in real life. Screen time also shouldn't be interfering with physical activity or play in younger children, for example. And make sure to keep a lookout for negative emotions after online interactions or after playing video games. So that was it for this week's episode on screen time. So remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and also please leave a comment below if there's something that you'd like me to bring up next week. Bye guys!